best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Oh, that's right. That's venerable news from the great Sean Connery in The Rock. This is Tim. This is Online Big Blue, bringing you the best New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Joe Schoen I know it was a couple days ago or a day ago, but Joe Schoen had a press conference with the Dabes, kind of talking about the season, kind of talking about everything going on New York Giant land. And I actually really enjoyed the press conference, and we got a bunch of snippets from it because it's what you want your general manager to say. And it's not like when the coach whose name we shall not speak came out and kind of just had diarrhea of the mouth and put in every single cliche, and there was a segment of the fan base that ate it up, and I had to hear for 2 years what a wonderful coach he was, and I kept saying he's a snakeskin salesman. He's talking about teaching, he's talking about doing everything else, but he doesn't talk. He doesn't do what he says he's going to do. And when you listen to Shane talk, and you're not kind of reading between the lines, but you listen to what he has to say, and it's what you want your general manager to say. It's good, it's bad, it's not indifferent. It's just kind of speaking the truth. And I said it before, Dable is not Parcellian in the way he talks. He talks with a lot of emotion. And Shane is kind of the opposite way. He kind of takes the emotion out of it, and you look at his face when he says these things, and you're just kind of like, you know what? You may not want to hear it, you may not want to feel it, but as a Giant fan since 1976, it's refreshing to me to see that he is grounded. Shane is grounded in reality. Now, I don't know if Shane's going to work out. Nobody knows. No one can say if he is or he isn't. But just his approach to me is the correct approach, not only for this organization, not only for the NFL, but just kind of in life in general. Shane was asked in reference to what his expectations of the season, what they were.
Joe, given what you guys accomplished last year, what are your expectations for this season?
Yeah, we're just gonna each day we're gonna try to get better. Again, the thing is progress. We're gonna focus on our process, and I think if we do what we did last year in terms of practicing the right way, coming in, being pros, again we'll see what happens. I'm not gonna say we're going to do X, Y, and Z, but I think if we focus on our process, we'll see results.
I hate the term the process because I always go back to Philadelphia because the process in Philadelphia didn't work. Gathering all those Philadelphia Sixers, that is, gathering all those first-round draft choices, bringing all these guys in. Ben Simmons is gone. Jameer Okafor is gone. Nerlens Noel is gone. The only person that's sticking around is Joel Embiid, and that was it. That was the process. But the process didn't work. It's when they started trading the process and moving away from the process and getting to the process. So I don't like that comparison with the word "the process," but it's the Joe Schoen process, and that's the way I see this. It's his process. It's how he makes things work, and how it's kind of how he, in my mind, really kind of sees this organization as a whole. And he understands, I'm not gonna put a number on things because I don't know. And we'll talk about this. I mean, he talks about the fact that, it's going to take a couple of weeks to kind of figure out what we have. You go on Giant content creators, Giant social media, and everything else. We're winning anywhere between 11 and 19 and a half games. Yes, I know there's only 17 games in the season. I was being facetious, but that's what you see. Shane speaks in reality. And like I said, that's kind of what this channel has always been about is, you could say I'm a hater. You could say that, that I don't know this, I don't know that. But I always just keep it grounded in reality and tell you like it is. And I love the people that I see, and I'll say something like from a year ago. And I actually ran into someone at the game, and they said this to me. It was funny. He goes, I hated when you said this a year ago. He goes, but you turned out to be right. And I always tell people, you know what? When I say something, it may not be right away, but just kind of wait and see what happens because I'm just speaking from honesty. And I also liked when he talked about the addition of Isaiah Simmons.
What was the thought process with Isaiah, given what you just said? Simmons.
Yeah, same deal. Like, talk to Wink. He's got a vision for the player. He's a young guy, just turned 25. Size, length, athleticism, and versatility. So for the compensation, we thought it made sense, and we're excited to see what he does this year.
And that's the thing. We're going to work out and see what he does. We're not putting these expectations. We're not putting these unrealistic expectations that some Giant fans are putting. We're going to see what he does. We talked to Wink. Wink said X. We're going to see what this kid can do. And for the compensation, it was low enough that it just made sense. And I like that. And I like that a lot. Now, it was kind of the same thing when they talked about the boogie. So here, let's listen about the boogie.
Boogie talked yesterday about you being the reason, or feeling like you were the reason he was in Buffalo. Can you just talk about scouting Boogie and your relationship with him?
Yeah, and those decisions are never on one person. I'll just say that when you're drafting, typically those first 3 rounds, especially, those are organizational decisions, coaching staff, personnel department. So, young man, we're excited to get. Again, he was a 2nd-round pick. He's been in the league for 2 years. He still has 2 years left on his contract at a reasonable price, and we think he's got a lot of upside. He's got to come in here. He's got to learn the playbook, and it's a different system than what he played in Buffalo. So again, he's been here 1 day, and we're looking forward to working with.
And see, it's the whole thing again. He's got to come in here and learn the playbook. He's got to come in and do his thing. Not looking at expectations. Guys got 4.5 career sacks. Looking at him coming in here and being 8 to 10 sacks. No, he's going to come in. He's going to learn the playbook, and we're going to see. And we're going to see why we brought him in. Because you know what, Joe scouted him. So we're going to see what happens. He was also asked about reworking some contracts here, and here we go. And here's a good one also.
Do you have further thoughts about adjusting contracts? I know obviously Darnay's, you freed up cap space doing that. Anything coming you think on that front?
Yeah, once we come up for air here, maybe early next week or something, we'll kind of circle up on that and see where we are salary cap wise, short term, long term, and kind of come up with a plan there.
Look to you like Leonard will go in with his existing deal.
Yeah.
The thing, and we're not going to get into Leonard thing, but if you take a look at the Giants salary cap, and I've been still working up on the Giants salary cap numbers right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I got the estimated cap space right now at about $1.2 million. And that's without the rule of 51. That's with 53 contract. And it's kind of hard because you got to play with those remaining contracts because you don't know what the roster is going to look like. But I got them coming in about 1.1 million. And that's 1.1 million under the cap. And the only contracts you can really look at restructuring, again, is going to be Adoree Jackson and Leonard Williams. And I think there is an adversity to doing that because if I started going, like I said, it's way early, and I always like doing the way early salary caps because people know that. I always like doing the salary cap, and I will say one thing about this channel: if we ever get something right, it's the salary cap. In the last 3 years, I have been off on my salary cap projections, and I've said it before a million times, and people have proven it, 100,000 each way. So I'm pretty good at figuring out the cap. And when I've told people that we're going to run into certain cap issues, I told people last year about certain cap issues, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know what you're talking about." Yeah, okay, we're going to go from there. But I started looking at 2024, and you look at the projected cap with 37 active players under contract. And right now, the Giants' cap space, you're sitting, again, if you're looking at the rule of 51, you're probably looking at about between 44 and 45 million. Now, there's ways to get around and add additional salary cap space because you're probably going to move on from, the Waller contract. You're gonna probably redo. You're also probably going to end up moving on from someone like Lewinsky, who's only got a $1.5 million cap number. You have already, and people keep forgetting over and over again, Leonard Williams has a dead cap number of $6 million because he did a restructure of a bonus back in 2022, and they gave that dead cap number in 2023. So he's already got Adoree Jackson has also got a dead cap number of almost $3 million in 2024 because they did the same thing. They restructured the bonus, and they moved his cap space into 2024. So there's ways to get that 45 million up around 60 again. So Schoen is going to have the money next year, but Schoen is also going to have to be smart because he's only got 37 active contracts. And I think we need to look at it. He's going to have to do something again this year. Barring that something happened in regards to an injury or maybe restructuring a deal, like maybe they do something with Glowinski if you think he's going to be part of the solution, and maybe try to take that he's got an $8 million dead cap number. Maybe you convert some of that to a bonus, so it's only a $4 million dead cap number. There's certain things that they can do, but I don't think they're going to go after and do anything with that Leonard Williams or Adoree Jackson contracts because I think that in some ways they want to move on from those type of agreements, those type of contracts, and kind of see what happens. And here's a conversation in reference to Xavier McKinney. I thought this was interesting.
With Xavier McKinney, kind of going off what you said in the radio a couple weeks ago, why would you prefer to wait until after the season?
I'm sorry, say that again.
With Xavier McKinney, you kind of going off what you said on the radio about in-season negotiations versus after the season for him. Why would you prefer to wait until after the season?
Yeah, I'll keep that between X and I. We had a conversation. I'll keep that between us.
Is that accurate? You're going to wait till after the season?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no, you're not going to do it. I know you left the door open earlier for maybe doing it in season with some guys, but not for him.
Unless something changes. I mean, I don't want to say, I'll never say never, but as of right now, that's the plan.
That's the plan. You're going to wait. You want to know why you're going to wait? Because right now you got 3 safeties. And technically, you could have 4 safeties in Isaiah Simmons. And people thought I was crazy. I said, well, you got to remember, Isaiah Simmons last year played 46% of his snaps in the slot. He said in Arizona he prefers to play safety, but he's kind of said, I'm giving my career over to Wink right now, so whatever Wink wants me to do. But between you got Pinnock, you got Belton, you have Xavier McKinney, you have Isaiah Simmons, you have Owens, you still got Bobby on this team. Why, I got no fucking clue. But you still have a lot of guys in that safety room, and you got a lot of guys with talent in that safety room. And I've said it before, maybe Isaiah Simmons plays well enough that they just let Xavier McKinney go and they keep one of them under contract. And everyone's also got to remember that 44 and that 45 million is not counting Saquon Barkley, because Barkley is probably going to be at least another 10 on that number. So we got to be careful with that. But I always thought about that. I always think about that maybe he's not moving forward with X because of the fact that let's see what Isaiah does. Maybe Isaiah gives him more flexibility for Wink on the defense. You don't know. And I like this comment also about the Giants' collaborative process.
Together in year 2 for you, from the general manager seat, you were always, one of those guys who wanted to be empowered. I would imagine it was important for you to do that.
Yeah, I think year 1, it's very time-consuming implementing your process and making sure everything's being done the way you want it to be done. I don't want to say you have to micromanage, but you have to, every step of the process. Like last year at this time, it was our first training camp. Now we're going into our first cut down. There's a lot of time implementing your process in year 2. I would say it was a well-oiled machine. People knew it.
That clip was a little harder to hear, so we're not going to go all the way into that clip. But he says it's a collaborative process. Everything we're doing is a collaborative process. And actually, I think I have a 2-minute full clip of that, but I don't want to get into that. And it's the same thing when he talks about. What are the, I don't have the clip right here, but Joe Schoen at one point even talks about going, it's going to take a couple guys. It's going to take some time for us to understand where this team is and what the expectation is. And the expectation of the Giants, he came out and said, we'll see. That was his comment. We'll see what the expectation is because we don't know yet. And he said, it's going to take a couple weeks for us to figure out what kind of team we are and who we are. And like I said, that's why I enjoy Joe Schoen. That's why I enjoy what he does and how he talks and how he elaborates on things, because I think it's the right way to do it. You want to just take a wait and see approach. I do it. I'm called the hater. Joe Schoen does it. He's a genius. But let's wait and see what Joe Schoen's got. Let's wait and see what Joe Schoen can do. Let's see how this roster pans out. Let's see what this draft class does. Let's see how Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal, excel in 2023. Let's wait and see. Let's see what we have. Let's wait and see over these first 4 weeks and see what we have. Let's see if Daniel Jones turns the corner. Let's see if Jalen Hyatt is going to keep progressing when he goes up against guys that are not third-teamers and Home Depots. Let's see how the offensive line holds up. Let's see how the defensive line holds up. Let's see how our linebackers maintain and control the edge. Let's see how 2 rookie corners are going to be playing in this wing system. There's a lot of let's kind of wait and see moments for this organization. Dallas is going to be a big test. I don't think, a loss to Dallas is the end-all, be-all. And I said it would be good to start off with the season with a win, with a divisional win. I think the Giants have every opportunity to do that because you never know with week 1. Week 1 is the biggest crapshoot in the NFL. You never know what's going to happen in week 1. And that should be the expectations of this Giants. Let's wait and see. And that is why I love Dable, and that's why I love Schoen in this organization right now, because they're taking the right approach. They're taking the let's wait and see approach, and let's see what we have. And I wish some parts of the fan base would do the same thing. We got the big show on Sunday with R0B called Sunday Giant. Make sure you're there at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have a lot of fun stuff coming up this. We're going to do a lot of on-camera stuff. The podcast is doing real well, and I really appreciate everyone that's been tuning in. And again, this is Tim. And don't forget to like, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell, because you want to know why? That feels